Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Global Speedrun Association and the World Peace Tournament Round 2 currently. And today we got a match between Stravos96, the uncontested racing champion, at least as far as it goes for now. And Equan, on the other side, just took second place in the any percent category, I think, yesterday. So definitely has been doing well for himself. This is going to be a very exciting match, and I have Lil Eggy joining me on co-commentary. What's up, Eggy?
Not a whole lot. I'm excited for this match. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and we do surely have some crazy runners here, as Equan is flying through the stage here. Point leg grabs and Strauss going for some wall jumpless water FMSs. But yeah, we do have the runners joined with us here for some pre-race thoughts. And I'm going to start with Stravi here. Strauss, how do you feel about World Peace? I'm pretty sure you have been playing any percent mostly, but I know you can perform on World Peace if you put your mind to it. So how do you feel about today's race?
Yeah, well, I got a new controller recently, so I've been playing World Peace to kind of get used to my controller again, because like I don't want to practice any percent stuff because that's my main category, so I don't want to potentially like mess with any of that. So I'll just spend my time getting used to my controller on World Peace until I get used to it again. So I'm feeling pretty confident right now. I just recently got a 117. I still need to update my PB on the leaderboards, but yeah, I think it's still 121 on that.
Well, that sounds promising. Equan, I think yesterday it was you got a very low 101 in any percent, almost got the one flat time in there. I think literally died like on the last Bowser fight. But yeah, how do you feel about today's matchup? How do you feel about World Peace compared to any percent, especially like the parts that you don't have to do in any percent, like boss fights and the additional routing?
Yeah, so I feel like since the last time I raced, my 80% consistency has gotten a lot better, but I'm not sure about all the world peace stuff. There's been a lot of new routing and stuff that I'm not really too confident with right now, so I just hope it goes well as Super Club.
But you will be going for those new routes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I learned like 2 of the new routes 2 hours ago or something, so...
Yeah, you should definitely have that down 100% consistently. I can't see how that wouldn't work. But speaking of new routes and World Peace being more optimized, today I think the World Peace record got broken again on version 1.0 because you are both going to be playing on that version with all tricks available to you. I think it is a 1:16:46 by Otme. What do you think about that record? Is that the category's death or is that beatable? Equan.
I don't know. I feel like Oddme is different than most of like the 1.0 runners who are getting into World Peace right now because all his like World Peace splits are really good, but then his 80% splits aren't as good as like some of ours would be. So his run's definitely beatable, but we need to catch up to him in the World Peace aspects of the run.
Yes, I was thinking the same or different thoughts there.
Like, I don't know. There's kind of a 115 myth floating around. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I mean, you can do it this race, I guess. I mean, I guess not, but I think we are good to go on our end here. I hope you guys are ready for this one because it's going to be a tough one. And yeah, best of luck from my side. You are free to leave the call, and the countdown that Stravos has been waiting for so desperately is going to be coming up very shortly.
All right, thanks. See you.
Yo,
good luck, guys.
See you.
Right, Eggy, I like to run it down every time when the people leave the call because then we can actually trash talk them. No, but I mean, that's actually a good time to go into predictions. I feel like because obviously we did hear their thoughts on this matchup and we do know these players pretty well because obviously from any percent, which we actively ran or are running at some point. So yeah, predictions. Aggie, I want to hear.
This is a tough one because these guys are both pretty similar in that they're both super high skill level and 80%, but relatively unfamiliar compared to some other people in world peace. I do know both of them are going for strats that they're not like super familiar with yet, but they've just kind of picked them up. I know Stravos is going back and forth on what kind of water FMS he wants to do this race, and Iquan's learning the new routes for sand and seaside like today.
Yeah, but okay, I feel like the seaside route is something you literally don't have really to learn. Like, I mean, you can make that work even without having the Gushen survive and just go over like to the rocket flowers, and then it's literally just capturing like a fish and get 2 free moons. So the seaside route on the easy part, the sand route definitely not so free. However, the sand road is pretty centered around the Dram strat, which is a core strat in any percent since like November, and I guess like December when people actually started to do it in runs.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely something these guys are familiar with.
Yeah, I think it'll probably come down to whoever makes the least mistakes. I mean, that's usually how races go in general, but I would expect at least sub 120 from both of these guys.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be one to watch. Second to last round 2-1 as well.
Yeah, and not only is it so crucial to avoid mistakes in every race, but World Peace is even an exception, I think, because they will go through these boss fights and they will go through these story main events like Bound Ball. I guess it's hard to lose in Bound Ball, but especially like the festival is something where we have seen deaths before, and these are like the most punishing deaths in the game. If you look at this at the game from a speed game perspective.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a lot higher risk with these things, just because boss fights, they're always going to send you back to the start. There's a lot of just story sequences like festival and that sort of thing where you have to get it all in one go.
Exactly, but now we are off to Cap Kingdom, which is probably Stravi's strong side here, as they actually both had a pretty synced first-person initiation there for the bridge cutscene. But yeah, Stravos pretty high skilled Cap Kingdom player. I mean, obviously both of them super high skilled in general, but Stravos went through like a time where he tried to go for the miraculous 2:19 Cap Kingdom time, which has been achieved these days. I think has several ones.
Yeah,
So,
I think he's at a 219.7 now.
Yeah,
which is pretty high.
which is, I mean, I still remember actually when Nitro used to like come around at any percent. Zaya was like the only one that had a 223 and a 2, and nobody could beat that. And then someone has like a 219, which is like 4 seconds better, and it's still obviously the basic thing is, and we saved 4 seconds that way in that kingdom, which has no game. Both of them having a pretty clean one here.
Yeah, very nicely done. But yeah, the progression of Cap Kingdom has been really interesting because, again, it is one of the shorter kingdoms in the whole match, and it has a 30-second intro on top of it, so it's not even 2 minutes long, but we managed to bring it down. I remember when 224 used to seem like the absolute best time you could possibly get in this kingdom.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much the time we've been talking about, that I just talked about, when then Zaya got the 223 and everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
How is that possible? He's so clean. That cutscene skip, and then we realized the cutscene skip actually doesn't even matter. But yeah, Stravos slightly ahead here going into Cascade Kingdom. Econ just barely behind here, and Stravos dropping a roll in. But there sees both of them actually are going to be going for the water first moon skip, and we'll see what version they will be doing. Stravos actually going for the world jump this version. Both first try though, and no mistakes, which is nice. Stravos is saving a little bit of time off of skipping that wall jump, which probably saves around a second, because not only obviously do you have to jump away from the wall, but you also have to throw your cap and then jump back to the mainland.
Heading into Madame Blue, the first of many, I guess, world bosses, you would say? I don't know if the Brutals count as bosses or not. I guess they do.
Yeah,
so
I
we'll
think...
say second.
I mean,
Stravos.
Oh, Stravos missing one of the cycles there. Equan definitely gonna be in the lead if he manages to hit her here again. Even though these like little optimizations are flashy and hard to do, mistakes like this cost like a lot of time. Like a Miss Madame Brutal cycle is probably losing like 5 seconds or something. So Equan definitely being ahead here after this fight.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where it's relatively easy, but as soon as you drop your guard just a little bit, it's very easy to just barely mess up the timing. And then you gotta chase her all around to get that chain jump to pull.
And yeah, Cascade Kingdom, I guess Madame Brutal, to get back to the point, does count as a world boss. It is currently actually not possible for us to, at least without mods, without save editing, skip that boss, because there's 5 moons available to us, but one of them is on a very high like painting island, and we can currently not get there because there's no like infinite height glitch we could do to get there. But it has been found out that would in fact be possible to skip that boss. I wonder if you would still get the world peace achievement, or if she actually does count as one of these world bosses. No idea though, because it's currently not possible for us to do, at least in an actual speedrun.
If I had to guess, I would say she probably does count for world peace. Oh, Stravos missing chest clip here.
Yeah, and Equan, by the way, had super sick movement after chest clip there with a very nice spin throw. I'm not sure, but I think Equan currently has the Cascade world record as in IL timing. Smaller than him, both kind of trying to get that under their belt. And Equan, at least for now, I think with like a mid 246, which is like crazy, once again, is currently holding that.
Yep, very strong exit time there. That's just about 5:10 on the dot. That is that is flying.
Yep, that is pretty scary. But yeah, that is as much as we have as far as any percent goes for now, because obviously these two first kingdoms don't really change, actually don't change at all. However, Sand is going to be quite different, and is potentially a section that Equan might struggle in a little bit, because obviously he just mentioned that he has been learning these new roads just recently, so he might not fully be aware of what is happening in that kingdom. Let's see how he plays that. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up here, Equan told me this before. He does like a jump into a ground pound here at the start, just so the bird is in a better cycle, but with that bonk, he might be a little bit in trouble. I hope he can still get the bird at all, but it looks like he could.
Yeah, he's just fine. That's interesting. Yeah, the bird timing can actually be really annoying there. I usually just kind of wait at the top of the roof for a while, because he's further away than he looks, and if you mistime it just a little bit, you're probably not going to actually be able to grab the moon in time, because it does take a little bit of an animation to actually be grabbable. So you'll just phase right through it.
Ooh, Stravos, interesting angle there to grab the archway moon. To be honest, Equan bonking there. Oh, getting attacked by the Goombas. No,
Ooh.
they're actually attacking him. He does manage to get back up. He's actually going to be going for the quote-unquote ice drum, which is something that Stravos is going to be doing this way, but Equan doesn't get the moon.
No. Oh, that's a big mistake. And now Stravos is getting the stram, and Equan's gonna have to climb his way back up here, which can be really annoying with this sand route to pull off.
And Stravos also managing to...
Oh, he's got the wrong bullet bill. That's not gonna make it to the tower.
Yeah. Okay, Equan is kind of stuck here. Since he just captured it, it's actually fine, because the timer refreshes when you capture the bullet bill. I guess the fuel mechanic. So Stravos currently trying to get into the pyramid, not having too much success actually again. This is Equan's chance to catch up one more time here, since Stravos is really struggling to get inside of the pyramid here. Oh, Equan bonking as well.
These guys are on 1.0.
And Equan's getting his second try, so he actually getting ahead here, and Stravos barely behind.
Oh
nice.
My goodness. That is not a mistake I would have expected out of Stravos. IP clip on 1.0 is generally regarded as the easiest clip in the game.
But sometimes you like get into the habit of getting like bad muscle memory. Stravos very fancy jump, so-called pixel jump there to avoid the damage animation. It's not as bad as it used to be to take damage there, because you won't get any moon before Harriet, which will not give you one of these damage refills. And just to clarify, normally if you collect the moon while being damaged, you would in fact get one of these damage refill animations, losing you about 2 seconds. But both of them actually avoiding the damage animation entirely.
And heading into Harriet here, jeez. This one's interesting because there are certain positions that you can stand on to make her jump around less before she actually does her attack for you to counter back. So we'll see how much studying these guys did. I believe the minimum hops are 6, 4, then 2.
Mm-hmm. Wait, 6, 4, and 2. I'm actually not completely sure. I think,
I think
I'm not sure if you can get 4 on the first phase. I definitely know you can get 2 on the last one. But once again, this is one of these hard to see time saves. You have to stand a specific spot. Ekwan getting the 2 hops there. On the last phase, Stravos getting that one as well. Just barely a difference between these two. One thing that I actually wanted to point out here is that Equan used to have a world record in this category before on 1.0 when it was barely ran, at least the 1.0 part of the category. That was like way before this tournament was announced. So he does have some cool movement optimizations. One that we just previously saw before this boss fight, where there's like a spin throw, roll cancel to keep his speed to get to the boss. I'm looking forward to his movement to the Chevarian in Snow. This is going to be a outlook in the future. I remind you when he gets there, but I know he has a pretty fancy strat that I actually copied. So we might see that.
I'm interested to see this. I don't think I'm familiar.
This might be hype. So Equan taking some time loss here off of missing Dram and having some sloppiness with the checkpoint grabs. Stravos obviously not having the best inverted pyramid clip. But let's see how this night part of Sand goes, because this is what really matters if you want to make that route work. That's the hard part in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. The bullet bill cycles can be really tough to make if you want to be optimal with it. So he's going to have to get these 2 moons here and then try and get this bullet bill before it crashes into the wall. And it looks like he'll be just fine.
Yeah, he should have enough time. Very good angle. Stravos missing the block. So he actually needs to get this bullet bill, and he can't. Yeah, he needs to be safe, but he really wants to get the second one. And that might actually crash into the block there. So Equan struggling to capture this bullet bill, though. Did manage to break the cage.
Yeah, the bullet bill spawns can be weird. It's kind of based on a combination of proximity and Mario being on the same height as the cannon. So it can definitely be a little tricky. And on occasion, you can actually lock up the cannon where it like preps a bullet bill, but it doesn't actually fire. And then it's just stuck like that.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Stravos actually getting his bullet bill robbed by one of these mummies. Literally one mummy spawned like below him and his bullet bill crashed. But that's unfortunate. Usually one of the very nice parts about this route is that you can avoid these mummies entirely. I think they have like an actual Nintendo name because Nintendo likes to give their enemies weird names. I think they're called like Chizos or something. I have no idea, but something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's like a Nintendo name, right? Just like the like seaweed things are called kombus or something like what? And the fireballs are called podoboo. Like that's so random, but I guess that's what they do.
It gives it a certain amount of charm. You gotta like it.
Yeah, I mean it's not like that I'm disliking it. It's just interesting naming because obviously you would think these are just called fireballs and like seaweed, but no, they're called kombu and podoboo, I guess. But yeah. You routing here once again, not grabbing the chest moon like back in the day because it is just a little bit faster to use the no hold Y mechanic on that bullet bill. Brought up yesterday in the task results how important that can be. And yeah, Equan is starting up his knuckle tech fight. Stravos actually dying to the bullet bill trick there. That's gonna cost him.
I didn't quite see what happened there. Did he just not get a proper up throw?
We did have some frame drops here, at least on our end on the restream. But I feel like, I mean, the most common mistake you can make there is actually just mistiming your rainbow spin or not homing Cappy back in time. All kinds of mistakes that can happen. And one thing that I want to point out here, Stravos is deciding to dive into the arena, which is actually a little bit slower because this fight has a ground trigger and you kind of want to be ground pounding to hit that a little bit earlier. It's barely though. That's like not a second. That might not even be half a second. But it is a free time save you can get just off of doing a ground pound instead of a dive.
Yeah, I mean, that's just knowledge is power right there. I mean, it's not like it's any more difficult to ground pound than dive, so those things add up.
Definitely. So Equan not having issues with Knuckle which is probably... Huh. So in my opinion, I mean, even though it's arguable all of these bosses, other than, I guess, the Seaside boss and Cockatiel, because she can be, or he, I'm still not sure, dude. Cockatiel can be weird because of his hitboxes, but I feel like, yeah, Knuckle might be the easiest boss. I think as soon as you learn how to... it's probably a race between Knuckle and Torque Drift, because as soon as you learn in which direction you need to move with the hands to not get blocked by his ice attack, it's really hard to lose time there. I think it is... At the start, it might be a little bit hard to learn how to get the speed with the uproot on Torque Drift, as Equan destroys that globe. They're spin pounding into it, not
Very
giving
fast.
it a chance to survive. But yeah, this boss probably easy. The Seaside boss on the other side, because you need to understand his patterns a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I'd give the edge to Torque Drift. It's very much just an auto-scroller kind of boss, and even if you mess it up, there's very little punishment for missing any of those little light things you have to hit to defeat the boss. Whereas Knuckle you could actually miss a cycle if you get off your game a little bit, which can obviously lose quite a bit of time.
Yeah, for me, the one issue that I previously had with Knuckle when I was learning it is if you don't actually get the fast speed with the uproot, it is hard to get to these middle sections of the flower block in time, and you might actually get messed up by him turning, and then you would miss the core of the brick block and like go through the block and suddenly be on top of that brick block and like hit this hitbox and lose time all around the place. I feel like it's easier to lose time to Torque Drift, at least, with these mistakes, because on Knuckle if you get like bopped on one of his ice attacks, that shouldn't be a time loss really, while like going through the block on Torque Drift, it probably loses a fair amount of time.
Fair enough.
Equan being in Lake. Both of them have actually been extensively looked into the new any percent Lake approach. So, I mean, they will definitely still know how to do any percent Lake. As I said yesterday, Equan just got the second place in the world in that category. So, pretty familiar there. And Stravos used to have, I think, at some point also the best Lake IL time. So, both of them should be familiar with this kingdom.
Yeah, this has always been one of my least favorite kingdoms in just any speedrun, because it is largely the same no matter what category you're doing, but there's not a whole lot going on in this one.
Dude, have you played Darker Side though?
I have not, no.
Because in Darker Side, I mean, it is arguably one of the worst kingdoms in Darker Side, but not the worst in my opinion, because you go through like the waves of poison subroom, which is really cool if you know what you're doing.
That is a very cool sub area. I'll give it that.
And you also go into the one with the flowers and like the reddish one with the fuzzies. I actually love like in Darker Side. There is fishing though, which arguably can be frustrating.
I feel like I have not struggled with fishing as much lately, because I realize you can use the motion controls to reel it in. You don't have to press A, which in my experience, it seems like the motion control is actually more lenient in that regard.
To be honest though, I feel like, and I don't know if you have actually been doing lake fishing, maybe on like some bingos or something, because I feel like, and I'm not sure that this might be far-fetched, but I feel like these different kingdoms might have different chances of the fish giving you a first bite. I feel like in snow, it's very easy to get, it's very common for the fish to bite at the first like attempt, but in lake it feels like it's usually like the third at least. And the thing is, if you don't get a first bite, it kind of messes with you, you know, because you, by the way, if you haven't played fishing before, it's just a small difference in how strong the controller rumbles. Like that gives it away if you can actually read it in or not, and that can be quite tricky to actually like see, you know, like to figure out what actually is the rumble you wanted to have for the fish to bite in.
I used to not play with any rumble at all, and I got back into bingo over the summer, and I didn't realize what was going on with the fishing, so I was completely confused, just had to guess if the fish was actually reelable or not. But we turned rumble back on because that's kind of essential for this point.
Yeah, for fishing, I can't imagine that would actually be full on RNG if you just try to like, okay, this is it, I'm gonna press it, and then it wasn't it. But yeah, Equan coming up here at Wooded, I'm pretty sure he's at least gonna be trying to clip into the wall to go through the wall, but I'm pretty sure he's not gonna be going for the full-on gate skip. We'll see what he does, because he does go to this side, which kind of makes it look like he's gonna try it.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I like this. Oh, he manages to make it work, because yeah, we previously brought up this is actually like a 7-second time save if you manage to pull it off. He did take his time to set up, so he might have only saved like 5, but that's obviously pretty sick if you actually manage to make that work, because if you fail that, by the way, and Stravos just using the nut clip here to go through the wall, which is obviously also fast, but if you miss that, and that's like falling into the deep woods on this clip is even easier. Wow, Equan, by the way, is just flying through Wooded.
No fear at all.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Very stylish movement there from as well, holding the jump button after the poison hack to get like an additional triple jump off of the... Which, by the way, that doesn't save time, but it looked pretty cool. Where he did like an additional triple jump to grab the moon.
Really? Even if you're in 80% going around to the next moon? The triple jump off the front, it doesn't...
Yeah, I've seen people try to make that work. Like, there's probably some potential for like a best theoretical time strat with that.
Right, ooh, Equan getting accidental spin throw there. Good old motion controls.
Trying to probably buffer a spin pond there and then pressing Y a little bit too early. But let's see how this tower skip goes. You really want to make that work. Going into that opening, interesting. Manages to make it work though.
Scary camera work, yeah.
Stravos just coming up here at Florodskip, going for the RCJ version, his signature move here, and gets the insta-nut too. Wow. Definitely pretty crazy movement there.
Now with the insta-nut, is it a positioning or timing thing, or is it just completely random on whether or not...
I mean, the thing with these tricks is always I can only like repeat what people say, because I feel like even the people that like say they know what is happening can't really though, because we don't have like frame data. But what was like at least sad about this insta nut break is if you like hit the ground the same frame you hit the nut with the dive, it would break instantly while you not being in the bonked state, because you would already be out of the dive state, which allows you to bonk, but the nut would still get hit in the dive state, so it would be like, okay, I'm breaking. I guess in theory it would make sense, but I'm not sure if that's actually how it works. We can't tell. It would be probably in that case a positioning thing, like just in which angle you hit. And Equan actually grabbing the rocket flows, there's something that I have previously not seen. It feels so right though, because they are just in the way, so why wouldn't you grab them?
Yeah, might as well. Having no trouble with that jump at all. That can actually be a bit of a dangerous one, because the game does drop frames there. As
oh yeah, it's horrible, at least in my experience.
But yeah, very clean wooded from Equan.
Yeah, I haven't seen a mistake yet. Like, not at all. He's been even going for the gate skip. No flower rocket refresh here, which is something that is probably not even considered an RTA strat at this time. But yeah, other than that, really flawless.
Stravos not lagging too far behind here. He's probably about 20 seconds back-ish. Haven't actually timed it out, but...
Wow, Equan's shots there were actually crazy. He did take damage though, so he is going to be losing. That's probably his first real mistake, let's like for real. Other than that, this was like perfect. Even the shots were really good, but since he did take damage, he's going to be getting a damage refill here before the boss losing 2 seconds. But yeah, once again, really, really clean wooded. But yeah, Stravos as well, pretty decent shots.
Yeah. Getting a little unlucky with the random cannonballs coming out there. They do shoot out in random directions. There's no pattern to it, so they can just block your shots at the last second like that.
And Equan is going to be starting the Torque Drift fight here. Let's see how this is going to be going for him. Stravos is, as you said, probably around 20 seconds currently behind Equan here.
Equan not getting fast, or speedy nut boy, I believe that what's been dubbed strat here.
Yeah, that's the official name.
Good.
I'm also going to be introducing you to the official name of the drummer later on if you haven't heard it yet. But yeah, we did give him a name yesterday, finally.
The official name of the what?
The drummer. The drum
yes.
player in
Okay.
Metro.
All right. Well, hang tight for that one. I'll
Yep,
let the
yep, yep.
suspense build.
People that have been watching yesterday, I was commentating with Nerf and we were figuring out how to actually name the band because Otep was the only guy that had at least a name, but at this point he's kind of like a dead meme. we tried to get some names in. But yeah, for now we are still fighting Torque Drift as Equan is in the lead. Pretty much one phase ahead of Stravos here.
Yeah, Stravos actually does have Speedrun going on here. You'll see that when he hops, he does not have to pause at all upon hitting the ground. So it saves just a little bit of amount of
Yeah,
time.
Equan currently has it as well though, because if you miss it at the start, you can like jump off of the spawning platform and get that speed off of that. So Equan did go there and acquired the speed for himself and manages to take out Torque Drift here. But as you mentioned exactly, you can tell by the uproot not being like stun locked when he hits the ground.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
Just
worry.
dropped my water bottle here. Hopefully that wasn't too loud.
No, all good. But yeah, Equan done with the cutscene. Stravos beating the boss, and as you said, I'd assume this round to just be a little bit over 20 seconds, as both of them are going to be going towards Cloud Kingdom now, which is once again a familiar place for them.
Yeah, little break for 80% for the next two kingdoms before we get to probably one of the most changed kingdoms. I'd say it's a toss-up between Metro and Seaside on which one's the most different.
I feel like you know, by the way, you know MSSL as like a name for like partial game RTA.
Sure. Yep.
I feel like that's actually the perfect thing to do if you want to practice world peace, just in general, because it is
absolutely.
close. It is close between them. I feel like because everything is different. But MSSL, which stands for Metro Seaside, I mean Metro Snow Seaside Luncheon, is probably the best way to learn world peace because all of these, if you are an any percent runner, because all of these kingdoms are drastically different. And I guess after that you can go and learn some sand. But that has to be super fun. I want to do that a lot, I think.
Yep. ILs and partial RTAs are always really, really good for practicing any category, really, but especially if you're moving on to a new category.
For sure. And Equan going for his signature cloud movement start, just a little bit faster than what most people do, not the most optimal, but still saving a little bit of time for the pretty much known move. Let's see what Stravos is going to be doing here. So him just opting for pretty normal stuff, a roll into a normal cap throw and then go over to the main arena. But other than that, Cloud is like the way I watch Cloud in a race. It's just I don't even care if people get the manipulation because it saves like a second or something, which is obviously a good amount of time in an any percent attempt these days, or I guess in a world peace attempt. But in a race, it really only matters if these runners get the fast side grabs.
But no issues today, assuming Stravos can finish this one out. Which, in my experience, the third hit is actually the easiest of the bunch, just because that damage boosting really just gives you a huge window to just perfectly time that head jump.
Yeah, I agree. First one definitely being, third one definitely being the easiest, while the second one is probably the hardest in both fights. Oh, Equan actually bonking that's going to be falling to his death. Missing that meme tree jump. He didn't get the cap return jump, which actually gives you some additional height, and he greeted out there. Because usually if you don't get it, you want to be going to the lower platform, but he still wanted to go up to get the roll boost. Manages to get it here. Even gets 2 rolls in. Interesting, I have not seen that. So yeah, definitely losing around 10 seconds to that.
Yeah, little mistakes. They close the gap. And Stravos getting it just fine, so... Loss being probably it's just a really intensive kingdom in terms of just you have to have really clean movement to make good cycles here. Any mistakes, you're either gonna die or trigger klepto or some other tragedy.
Yeah, one thing that I do like to say is Lost is not necessarily harder than any other kingdom, it's just more punishing, because if you bonk in Wooded, I guess Wooded can also be scary, but if you go bonk like in Sand, I guess, yeah, you bonk and you lose 2 seconds or something. But if you bonk in a bad spot in Lost, you'll almost always fall into like a pit of poison or into your death, or even into the klepto trigger zone, which is even worse in some cases.
Yep.
So yeah, Lost being the most punishing kingdom, at least for sure.
And Equan going for cage triple here. And that's a good lineup. All right.
Yep, barely manages to get on that tree stump. Instant spin pound, grabs the moon, so he's done. It doesn't even matter if he dies here, it would just be a little bit faster if he keeps holding on to his life and manages to make that work. And he's off definitely not the Lost he wanted because of that unfortunate death at the start. Stravos though also playing very clean here. No mistakes on his end, so he's gonna be a little bit closer here after this one.
Yep. Probably only about 12, 13 back. Pretty good. But of course, we are heading into Metro now. So Night Metro is going to be largely the same. So that'll be awfully familiar to these guys as long as they remember to get one extra moon along the way. But the true test will be once we get into the day portion of this.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting, at least in this race for sure, because we will be seeing 2 sewer clips, which can be quite annoying. And I'm not sure how well Stravos is feeling with clipping after his...
Yeah, he'll surely be a little bit nervous about this one.
Yeah, after his start here in Sand, which tends to be pretty lenient and pretty easy. However, I did see a clip of Stravos like spin pound clipping into that sewer, so he might make that work. But yeah, I think the clips is like the day off and day, like you have off days and you have on days, I guess, with clips. Sometimes
absolutely, yeah.
you go through the walls like butter, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Come on, getting the nice Goomba hop there. That's one of my favorite strats. It's just so cheeky.
Oh, going for a roll cancel into cap return to get that moon in the nighttime. We do not revisit that place in day. Ooh, nice movement there. Buffered spin pound into a roll cancel. That's actually what I hate the most about this moon in nighttime, the movement over to the city hall, but Equan figured that one out for himself.
Yeah, it makes the angles that you have to roll cancel out very awkward, which on this particular segment, even in any percent, getting the roll cancels around the corners on this skyscraper is very awkward for some reason compared to most others.
And Equan manages to bridge that gap. He gets a roll boost on the railing, knows his spacing for this one. And he's going to be fighting Mecha Wiggler, which, even though, as you brought that up, Damage is probably the more interesting potion in Wild Piece here. Mecha Wiggler is once again one of these things where you can lose a lot of time.
Stravos actually had a close call with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was going for the tight one. But yeah, historically, Stravos' Wigglers have always been very good. I hope I didn't jinx him here, because obviously, once again, this is a pretty hefty time loss if you do not manage to get the 2 cycle, which it's all gonna make sense when Equan gets there. You do want to take the Wiggler out in one go as he makes his turns here on this wall. If you are a little bit too slow, he would go back into this attacking phase and you'd lose around 25 seconds at least.
Yeah, now it's actually pretty involved, like what determines how much time you have here. So he shoots out those 5 fireballs, and okay. A little scary there, but we're all right. So you can see on Stravos, so he shot out 5 fireballs, and you want to let the last one he shoots out stay there, because it'll actually hang in the air for quite some time, and then as soon as that final fireball disappears, he'll stop moving and he'll begin to lock himself down.
And Stravos surely having the better Mecha Wiggler here, definitely very smooth shooting. Not perfect, but I think a little bit better than Equan, because obviously he did have these 2 parts sticking around for a little bit too long for comfort, but Stravos still behind Equan here. And yeah, once again, Day Metro does have some interesting tricks, especially in version 1.0, because these runners will be doing the scoot clip, which is not a version exclusive, but can cause some time loss. And then later on, they will be doing the sewer clip, which is a roll cancel clip into like using a pipe, skipping one of the subsections in the story, like I guess in the main story.
Yeah. Now with pipe clips, is it any pipe that's up against a wall like that is clippable, or is it only certain ones?
I think it might actually be everyone. I already clipped with pipes in like these subrooms, like in Seaside, the one with the rumbling floor. I just clipped and like fall out of the world. So it might actually be every pipe that is close to a wall like that.
Interesting. Stravos not quite getting the scoot clip drive by, where Kwan did, but not too big of a deal. He did get the back up pretty well.
And both of them opting to get the Wu-piled trash on this moon. Equan trying to go for this very fancy strat. I'm not sure. He managed to make it work, but he forgot to talk to Pauline. Very close. He's going to be going for it again. Okay, at this point, you're just losing time, Equan. Stop. He really wants to make it work, but Pauline not really trying to talk with him. That's actually a big time loss.
The entire gap is closed now. This is nearly
talking to Tom. Let me introduce Tom here. We were thinking about good names for drummers, and I thought, Tom is literally a part of a drum kit. So might as well call this guy Tom.
You know, my name is Tom.
Oh, nice. Are you playing drums by any chance? Or?
I do not. I've never touched a drum set in my life.
Maybe you should. Well, maybe we still need name choice for the other musicians though, because OTEP at this point is just outdated. So yeah, definitely. If you guys have any ideas.
I believe the one they just talked to is Yao, isn't that right?
That's at least what he says, but come on, dude, this is not 2017. These people want names. By the way, this is
Yao's a real name,
sync
though,
action, by the way. Wait,
yeah.
Nah. I mean, I guess, but does he look like Japanese to you, or?
I think I'll have to take a closer look next time I'm in town.
Well, anyways, both of them are pretty close here. As Equan goes for like a spin pound roll cancel there.
That's fancy.
Crazy. Probably not even saving time with that, as it's still pretty much synced by the frame. Equan really losing a lot of time trying to show off that capture warp strat, because you can actually let your cap hover on that power. I mean, we did see what his intentions were actually, but he just didn't get to talk to Pauline, because if you talk to Pauline, you could shake your controller and you would be... Oh, that's synced though.
That is
you would be flying back to that pole.
Oh, Stravos, it looked like he actually just went straight through the bottom of the moon there.
Yeah, pretty quick backup though, going to the umbrella immediately.
No.
And it looks like Equan is going to be trying a vault strat here instead of... And I actually have been trying this out and I didn't... Yeah, I was right about to say. I actually tried it out and I always used to bonk there, but I'm pretty sure he knows it's possible, but that's a tough call. He's really going for these crazy strats, and the good thing, if you miss this, at least you can make it over straight away here from that warp, but probably losing 10 to like 15 seconds on that one.
Yeah, Kwan getting a little too big for his britches here. But I mean, I can't blame him. He was playing very, very well before this kingdom, but definitely not the best performance for Day Metro. Stravos entering the sewer. Let's see if this clip goes a little bit better for him. Traditionally, this one's much more difficult than IT clip, but we'll see if he just happens to practice this one more.
Okay, he decides to do this on top of the pipe. It's actually not really. I mean, I at least don't. Once again, this is nice. Like fourth try, probably saving time with this one. Let's see how this goes for Equan here. It usually doesn't matter if you do it on top of the pipe or on the lower section of the pipe. That's at least what we know, because once again, we do not have any frame data on this. It usually doesn't matter really. But let's see. Equan struggling a bit here. Okay. Sixth try also taking damage there, so he's probably just going to be even with just going through the sewers and skipping out on the Wu-Pile trash on this moon. But maybe just saving a little bit of time still.
Yeah. And in the span of half of a kingdom, basically our lead has been completely reversed from Stravos being
pretty much reversed,
yeah.
Very true here. Equan losing a little bit more time on sewer, definitely losing a heavy amount on the attempted capture warp strat for the guitarist, and also the jump over to the trumpeter, obviously.
Yeah. But of course, we do still have Festival left for the kingdom. Death is possible, however unlikely. But the barrels, sometimes you do get a bad cycle with this, and it's best to just tank damage and then
Yeah.
so that you don't blow it in the final screen of this sequence.
So yeah, Stravos round 1 match was actually pretty close here in the festival. I mean, at the point where he is right now, he was already only at 1 HP, I think, because for some reason he did take damage twice. Was it one that we actually might have casted before?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we casted it was against Equid, right? Yeah. And both of them were like on 1 HP at the very last room.
Does not seem to be the case this time though. Stravos having no issues with barrels, and I highly doubt that he could possibly.
Wow,
take 3 damage
Stravos,
on
the festival percent player. That was actually so good, the way he made that jump work in a way that he like could use the space he had to already come closer to the pipe. And he on taking an early hit, which can be scary. I'm interested if he's just gonna get the heart to avoid any memes, or if he's actually gonna be risking it. Because if he takes 1 early hit again in this room, suddenly this gets very scary.
Stravos actually being very careful to not take any damage at all during the festival, although there is no heal animation for this multi-move. Is there any other time lapse besides that? Just the damage animation?
No,
itself, I
like if you want
suppose?
the damage animations, exactly. Sometimes it might even be better to take these and Equal managing to pull it off here and take down DK. But yeah, sometimes it might even be more optimal to take one of these damage animations than to go out of the way. So yeah, not really any punishment for taking damage in this one, unless, I mean, at least if you don't die.
But we've wrapped up Metro now, and now we're going into Snow Kingdom, presumably, unless someone decides to switch it up.
Which, by the way, wouldn't matter, because I mean, it would matter. It would be like a 0.5 second time loss if you selected Seaside here. Which, by the way, I kind of want to go back and retime this, because I feel like depending on which way you select on the first time, the animation where like the line draws to the next kingdom could change. So I kind of want to go back to this and really see if that's the thing. But I mean, it's at least our current like knowledge that it would be slower to select Seaside here, but it doesn't really, in any percent it can be interesting because coins. But we do get a Shop Moon in Snow. That's not the case in World Peace. It is too slow for us. So no shop, no coins. Both of them will be going to Snow.
Alright, let's see Equan's movement into Shiveria here. You were hyping it up earlier.
Oh, no, to the Shiverian.
Oh, to the
The
Shiveria.
racer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the racer. I mean, I'm also interested what he's going to be doing here, because this is, in my opinion, one of the most annoying parts. I liked how Stravos like slightly vectored over there, because I'm either too close or too far, so I either bonk. Okay, Equan going for... That probably wasn't intended. He probably wanted to go like do a roll cancel. There wasn't really any reason to do a long jump after a spin pound. But Stravos coming up here at this moon, because this is a moon he could potentially use to moon. If that works, that's crazy. Okay. That was so fast. I think he just did that on purpose because he knows he's not the best at this clip, at the moon clip, so he just tries to go ham and gets it third try here, I think.
Yeah, not bad at all.
This is the... I mean, at this point, it's pretty much a backup, because moon clip would be the fastest way to do this clip. But it's the original way, like the OG way to get into the racing section. And you see Stravos is going for a dive triple jump here to the Shiverian, which is probably the easier movement. I think Equan got the clip.
Yeah.
And ground pounds back in bounds. Wait, what?
Oh.
Wait, oh my god. Okay, he's gonna die. I was like, this is not gonna work. Okay, so he did get the moon clip.
So okay, he's gonna... Luckily he does spawn right there, so he can just back this up real quick, but that hurts.
Oh, second try. Okay, that's good though. It would have been even worse if he took like a ton of attempts to get back into the section, but yeah, that's unfortunate. He did get the moon clip, however, he did fall flat on the movement out of bounds. So let's see if he's actually going for the fancy movement here. Oh, try to go for it. Definitely still got the vault, but you can even get that with like an actual dive vault.
the attempted Shivarian Dram.
Yeah, I've seen that yesterday. It's actually pretty cool if you get it first try. I mean, it's no distance at all. You just cut the cap animation. However, we do have Stravos racing here. We already know the first lap, so I'm not going to be giving him the best guess here because that first lap was a little bit sloppy. I'm going to be giving Stravos a 57 here, actually.
I think you're right on the money with that one. That was going to be my guess.
Okay, let's agree. Let's agree on this one.
Sure.
Pretty good second lap though, so definitely cutting it down. Usually like the best lap you can get, I guess, arguably is like a 16. We did see 16 laps here before, even like a 16.7. I think I think it was simply. I'm not completely sure. No, it was someone else. But Stravos
Wow.
actually ending up with a 55.
Proving
here, so.
us wrong.
Yeah, getting a decent second and third lap. And the first one was a bit sloppy. I get scared.
The first one can be very tricky because you have to start from 0 momentum. So those first couple of jumps are pretty crucial in setting up your bounces for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, Equan almost saving a full second over Stravos' first lap. And I'm going to be giving Equan a 54 as he slows down there, but I can take it back now. So it's going to be a 54 from me.
Right, well, luckily I'm guessing second here, so I'm going to go with 56.
Okay, okay, this is going to be your fault because Equan did get another 17 lap in here. 54 probably still possible if he manages to make the roll. But slowing down tremendously here. I'm not sure this is going to be tough. The 54 might have just disappeared, but...
Oh my goodness!
Getting the 54.9, Limcube taking that win.
I cannot believe that.
The 54.9, Jesus.
Wow, I mean, I knew I was bad at Bound Bowl before. I usually get 57s or 58s, but for Equan to just go straight through the snow 3 times there and still pulling off a 54 is very impressive.
Very impressive. Winning the Bound Ball race between... No, actually, Stravos got a 53, right?
He got a 55.
55, yeah, true. So he did win the Bound Ball race, and Stravos gets first bite fish. Once again, I feel like this fish is kind of nice most of the times.
You know, I think you're right with that, because I'd say I get a first bite almost like 60% of the time or so.
Yeah, I feel like it's even more for me, like some days. I rarely get like second or even third. I'm not sure if I've ever gotten a third bite on this one.
Yeah, Stravos taking it safe, going for the timer challenge as opposed to...
yeah, I'm sure Equan is not going to do that, like 100%. I mean, that literally wouldn't make sense if he goes for like these Pauline Dram strats and loses like 15 seconds in Snowdram, which is literally, he used to be one of the very first people to figure that trick out. He used to have one of the first tutorials about Snowdram. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be going for it in this one.
Yeah, I remember back when Snowdram was first kind of starting to be a major thing in any percent. He got like 30 in a row in practice or something like that.
Yeah, some crazy stuff like that. Also, first bite fishing here. Oh, actually, I'm capturing Lucky 2, which kind of makes me think he's going to be skipping out on Snowdram. Oh, never mind.
Interesting.
I mean, it should be close. You can either stay in Lucky 2 and wait for the moon to go down a little bit, or do what Equan did there and fall down. But yeah, definitely going for Snowdram here. Very quick setup. And manages to make it work. Saving the 2 seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his work cut out for him at this point. He's gonna need those 2 seconds.
All right, Stravos starting out on C side here, which actually has the name Stravi side in the any percent circles of the community because he used to have the ridiculous, most ridiculous times here, and still probably has an unbeaten like record for an individual level time. However, it obviously C-side is different here. He needs to take care of okay, homework for next time. I'm learning the name, but for now he's taking care of Mollusk. But I'm gonna be learning the name, guys. I know I've been saying it for like
the boss name?
week. Yeah.
I believe it's Brigadier General Mollusk Lancer III, Dauphin of Bublane.
Oh, I think you nailed it. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Now I feel bad. I'm not prepared.
If there's one thing I know about the lore of this game, it is that boss's name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got that one. But Stravos managing to save that Gushen, he actually was pretty close to the story moon cutscene, which for some reason tends to despawn these Gushens. But once again, showing off his seaside knowledge, really good seaside so far.
Yeah.
Clean movement for the first story moon. He's going to be swimming over here to capture the cheap on the reef there. And it's going to be getting these 2 underwater moons.
Okay, I'm just gonna squeeze this in here, but you'll see that Stravos homing attack the cheap to get it. But what I didn't know about homing attacks in this game that Stravos told me in the pre-match just discussion is Cappy will actually home in the direction you shake the controller.
That is something that actually came into play in Task 1. If you and it also comes into play on swings, by the way. For example, you can like home your shake your controller down to have Cappy home down, so it would collect more coins, for example.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason I asked him, because I was having trouble getting enough coins in Sphinx Room, and it didn't seem like anyone else ever had an issue with it.
Yep. So yeah, once again, pretty unknown tech. Stravos probably making his first mistake in the seaside here, by not getting enough height on his swim up there, so he goes for a ground pound, probably unintended. But other than that, the seaside is pretty flawless. Equan, though, also with a very clean seaside so far.
But of course, the big event of seaside coming up for Stravos in just a moment here. I love this boss fight. This boss fight's very specific in its strats, and if you mess it up a little bit, you definitely pay the price, because you'll mess up his cycle entirely.
That is true. And it gets really frustrating too.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so you'll see Stravos just hovering over there. So he's want to meet the boss over by this pillar right here, and then get the lava knocked off of him, and then he's actually gonna kind of go away from the boss and try and cut him off near the lighthouse, and then he's gonna want to get a second set of hits in right there, and then he'll actually try and stay ahead of the boss here by going around the other way, and then you'll see that the camera keeps trying to readjust to look at the boss.
Yeah, you kind of need to like nudge your stick back. I mean, you don't need to. All that matters is that you beat the boss to the hot springs. You want to be at the hot springs before the boss arrives and spray him. Because in that case, the game will get confused and thinks he's like still back there, and he will move straight through the wall if he manages to hit him. Here, he's going to be going through that wall.
Very nice.
Stravos getting the ground pound barely, almost missing it, which would have been pretty tremendously bad for him, pretty big time loss, but manages to make the boss fight work pretty nicely. Very good seaside. Other than the hot spring like ground pound thing, pretty flawless.
Equan having a little bit of trouble getting the water to hit the boss there, but he's fine. I was worried he was gonna run out there. Oh, Brigadier strikes back, but no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal as long as you. I mean, dying to this boss is rare, but it's also pretty hard because you obviously want to beat him. You want to stay close to him as well because he would like get confused back there and like attack himself. So kind of want to avoid that part. And Equan seems to be beating him to the hot springs here. Gets the hit in. One more hit to the left, and he should be able to get the clip as well.
Very nice.
Oh, nice. Gets the ground pound.
That ground pound can be very scary because sometimes I feel like you can actually just kind of slide straight through the edges of his head and it just won't count.
Yeah, for sure.
That's always fun.
That is very fun. I love it when it happens. But yeah, Stravos is on his way to Luncheon, which is the last World Peace exclusive kingdom as far as movement, routing, and strategy goes. So this is going to be where it really counts. And I know that Equan has some movement once again for these various parts here. Also, Stravos is going to be confident with this one. There is this one 1.0 exclusive thing in Luncheon and World Peace, which is once again going to be the turnip clip, which is usually something you'd see in in any percent, but you can actually make the turnip clip work in World Peace as well. It's going to be different though, and I think Equan is going to be going for it.
I believe. I know Iquan is going for it. I think Stravos might be going for it as well. I guess we'll see in just a bit here. But yeah, it's definitely a little harder to pull off. You're gonna have to use a different set of turnips next to the shot instead. And then you're gonna have to throw it over a gap and just kind of hope that the Panbro does not choose to hit it with his attacks. But it does save you the headache of dealing with the cheese and the leather.
True. I want to point out, though, obviously Equan losing some time in Metro back then, obviously the unfortunate death on the moon clip part. It feels like he has been playing very well, but Stravos still seems to be extending his lead here, probably going for the fast, safe options where Equan still goes for his crazy movement. Let's see what pays off in the long run, because this is far from over, and we obviously will go through Bowser's and this kingdom as well, which has potentially huge time losses and death possibilities. So this is not over yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Cookatiel alone, the boss for this kingdom, can certainly shake things up. Ooh,
Stravos taking a bonk.
That movement up across that bridge segment can be tricky for World Peace. You want to try and get the triple jump off that little stake in the ground.
Equan losing height there on the wall and then sliding down, trying to back it up, but not enough height anymore. So takes that bonk.
Luckily, there are heals in the arena here. Actually, he's opting to get that quite early. I usually,
that's an interesting point to get it.
Usually you can grab the heart during this segment right here as he's just kind of going through these animations and just, you know, break the little beam on the first hit and then collect the heart on the next round.
Yeah, that would have probably been a little bit quicker. But as long as he's on full HP here, that was his objective, and he managed to make that work, so he's not going to be damage refilled from that moon.
Yeah, and I was wrong about Stravos. He did not go for the turnip clip there. But I have no issues with the cheese at all, so he's looking just fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Equan is going to be going for the World Peace turnip clip though, so this is something where he once again might be able to save around 4 seconds according to him actually. This is something that hasn't really been extensively timed again because not many people do it in runs. Equan very fast spin pond, very good movement here. Let's see. Oh, trying to go for the dive vault, losing speed, managing to back it up pretty safely.
Oh,
and yeah, it seems like he changed his mind. Yeah, it seems like he's not gonna be doing the turnip clip. Oh, the double for roll cancel there. This guy. What? Interesting.
He's just showing off at this point. I don't even think this is faster.
The double for roll cancel part for sure. Like the part where he went over to the other pillar, that was optimal. But falling down there, probably not the optimal way. And he's actually gonna be going for the World Peace turnip clip. I feel like it would be better to like set it up and get these turnips done during. Like get the pillar activated during that, but that's something once again that hasn't really been figured out since it is not really used. But let's see if he makes that part work here. He's, by the way, he's going to be doing he's going to be able to skip the timer challenge that Stravos is doing right now because he got that turnip cooking moon, and that looks like a good spot. Unfortunately, getting sniped by the fan, bro.
Classic.
But I think he can make that work. Yep.
Yeah, very
Clips
nice.
in. Nice execution, saving time on that one pretty surely. And he's going to be able to skip the timer challenge moon that Stravos is currently doing. I'm interested for his movement at the start of his second approach to luncheon, though, because I've been messing with that. I'm interested what he's going to do.
Yeah, with no need for the timer, he's got a lot more options available to him.
Yep.
That'd be interesting. Are there any checkpoints around there that you could just warp to instead, considering you don't even have to get any moons until the mountain all the way
Sadly
over there?
not, because for some reason, as soon as you get the meat, like all of these checkpoints disappear, you know, like this, the wall gets built there, and Stravos actually falling down there. That's going to be quite the... That's actually losing a good amount of time. I think since these pillars, he has to wait for these pillars to come down, that probably is like a 10-second time loss even.
Yeah. That can be very annoying. It sometimes feel like you don't have full control over how the photo boots. But yeah, you just want to hug the wall as you fall there, and sometimes I guess it depends on the speed you go into the fall with, but
Yeah.
you just don't get to turn in the air as much as you'd like.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Stravos losing some time there, but still obviously pretty confident lead here over Equan, who does have the option to skip the timer challenge here. Still needs to get the overlooking the ingredients moon. The thing once again is for some reason a lot of the checkpoints disappear here in this state of luncheon, so he doesn't really have as many options. Oh, doing a triple jump there, really liking this move and still capturing the fork. Interesting. This is probably a clip we can use to time with in the future for this movement. Very nicely done.
I mean, Stravos doing a little Koopa free run strats there. Getting up to Cockatiel just fine. And we'll see how Cockatiel's hitboxes are feeling tonight.
Yep.
This boss, of course, being infamous for you have to hit his butt right here, and its hitbox is a complete mystery. And then the third phase of this, when you have to climb his little lava trail there, can also be very interesting, to say the least.
Well, so
no
Equan
issues.
already having definitely the better volcano cave. Here not falling down into the pit with the fountains. So saving time here over Strav, and as you said, this is probably gonna be the most annoying phase. Stravos coming up here right now.
Yep, I think at best you can get this in 4 hops.
Ah, hitbox is coming in strong.
Yeah.
six hops. That's not as bad, obviously, as it can get. Equan actually doing the real Cooper free running move. The up throw, homing in with the triple throw. Cap return jump into spin pound very quickly. Flying, actually flying. This is crazy. This is like actual BTT level, what he just did there.
That was very, very nice. But yeah, Strav having a pretty clean boss fight. Very nice, and now he's on to the 80% segment of the run, so home territory for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is what these runners are truly familiar with. However, I do want to mention that it wasn't really visible at all here that world peace is not their main category. Let's be realistic, because especially Equan, even with the frustrating time losses, he had like special movement prepared for all of these sections.
These guys certainly no slouches for this at all.
And yeah, once again, let's not kid ourselves. Equan actually at some point had the world record in this category, so it's really not fair to say he's not confident with the category. It's just that the category in general is not at the same optimization level than any percent is.
Equan definitely having a bit more trouble with Cockatiel here. He's got a really awkward climb.
Ah, falling down. As long as he still makes it up in time, it's not that tragic, but at some point Cockatiel will just stop spewing down the hot lava here, and it wouldn't be possible for him to hit her, but gets it.
Had me sweating there for a little bit.
So yeah, surely the worst out of the two boss fights. So Stravos once again probably extending his lead here, as he's already preparing to fight the Lord of Lightning, the unbeatable legendary boss of the Rune King, which is super boring to play against, by the way. Yeah, let's see how is Stravos gonna do in this fight. Probably not the one that he's worried about, because yeah, obviously that has been done a million times, and actually it might even be valid to say the Ruined boss is the easiest one out of like all of the pack. That's probably just because of the
certainly, but
to be fair, that's probably because we did it so often. Like it is in every category, and every any percent runner has done it literally once per run at least. So it might be that, but I mean, once you know how the dragon is actually like attacking, it is very, very easy.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to lose time as well. Like that's actually why I think the boss might be the easiest, because it's so easy to be optimal. Not optimal, but it's very hard to lose more than like 5 seconds in the fight.
Yeah. For me personally, like I consider a bad boss fight for Ruined if I lose more than 2 seconds off my goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just not that much going on here.
And like losing 2 seconds in in Torque Drift or in Nactitech is way easier, I think.
Absolutely.
So Rune was probably actually the easiest one in the game. And sadly, still one of the longest, because it does take a while to take him down with all of his attack patterns and all of his phases that cannot be sped up. So we spent a decent amount of time in this kingdom. This is actually, if we look at other split times, we have like Cap Kingdom, Cloud Kingdom, Lost Kingdom, where we literally get 10 moons, is quicker than this split. So yeah. Pretty annoying.
Yep. I believe this is also the only kingdom that has just opted out of the partial game RTAs on the leaderboards because no one wants to deal with it because it's simply just pointless to do.
True.
A Quan, living on the edge here. Very
Wow. Yeah, managing to make that tough call there. I mean, you can pretty much decide how to spend your time during these attack patterns. So
Yeah.
he tried to, I guess, get a little adrenaline rush going, because that's what he needs to somehow pull this race off. Because not only does he have to rely on Stravos to mess up pretty, like, on a pretty big level here, he really needs to throw his lead just by around probably 2 minutes at the moment. Which, I mean, now 2 minutes sounds extreme. It might be like 1.5, but it's definitely a good lead that Stravos has been building up now.
Yeah.
And Equal at 1 HP here. Please don't do it. Just get out of here.
Okay.
Okay.
There
this
are
would have
little
been-
enemies that spawn on the dragon during that last phase, and I'm not sure if they could actually just spawn right on you, or if it's like a totally random position or not, but being on 1 HP is definitely a little bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, you can die to them on the bad day. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I did see it before, and it's certainly still possible. It's probably gonna happen when nobody's thinking about it. But yeah, so far, getting a story moon at the same time, Stravos, however, getting the first one in Bowser's Kingdom, which is the moon here from the, I think, staircase. This is like another instance of Nintendo with their name.
Oh,
called
it's
I think this
called
guy's
an
like
ogre.
yeah, it's called a stairface ogre for some reason.
Because
I mean, I guess the thing that he doesn't he have like a stem? It doesn't look like a stair, but it's the stairface ogre apparently.
Whatever they say, I guess.
Whatever they say. Well, Stravos missing the dive back strat here twice in a row, trying to get Capital home, and just decides to skip out on that optimal dive back. And Shards is probably one of the most movement intensive parts of Bowser's. Can be hard to get through here optimally, but this looks good now after that sloppiness at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the hardest part of Bowser's at a high level to pull off if you're going for a good IL time for the split. It's just teeny tiny details on that can waste a lot of time. And Equan is actually going for the bird warp strat here.
Yep. He used, I'm pretty sure his PB has this. This is his personal preference. He goes for that not only in this category, but also in any percent. These moons are super close, and whatever you are more comfortable with and whatever you know the better strats for would be the better option for you to do.
Yep. You know, Stravos going for the Dram strat for this moon up over the archway here. And it looks like he did get the Dram there.
And let's see, Stravos is probably going to be opting for Harriet first, at least as far as these boss fights go. And I do know these runners have been looking into the first person strat here. Harriet Stravos gets the first hit with that in. Yesterday we did see 3 consecutive hits in this fight. I think actually Tishel putting that off. And Stravos getting the second one as well. I think this is something that is better understood now these days. There was this point where only Fur used to be able to pull that off. But yeah, seems like these runners know what they're doing with that strat now.
Very nice. Do you know how much that actually saves? It definitely looks a little bit faster.
It isn't that much. It's probably like all 3 hits would probably be a second, which once again, a second these days is a lot though. So at least for any person in this category, maybe not as big, but still it's getting there. So something that might be worth if you're comfortable with it.
Ooh, Stravos taking a hit on Topper's last phase here. It can be annoying. There's so many hats. Sometimes you jump in the general right direction to bop them out of that little hat phase there, but the hitboxes are so close that it just doesn't count sometimes. Like, it can be very annoying. But not a huge deal for Stravos. He did get along with the fight pretty well, besides that.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, Stravos just got this last segment of Bowser's left. Just the climb up to Mechaboodle.
And Mechaboodle is probably one of the very last things that can go wrong here for him, as the time loss on a missed Mechaboodle hit, I guess in one of the Mechaboodle's bubbles, can be quite hefty. Especially, we actually did see Tischl sadly dying to this boss before, which I assume is probably not going to be happening again. But when stuff goes really bad there, the problems add up. As Equan is taking damage once here on the optimal Harriet hit. Not the biggest deal.
A nice bird climb from Stravos, not needing the extra spin there to get over that first set of walls. And he's entering the fight. Again, a fall here, it probably costs about 25 seconds. I guess it depends on which phase you fall in.
Exactly. So Stravos opting for the normal these days backflip climb. Very quick first hit on Rango. The second hit is going to be the green guy Topper here. Probably trying to get that with a spin pound. And at this point, he's going to be going into a little waiting phase there. And he is probably going to be setting up an Equan as well for what we call Harriet third, which requires them to do a very specific, and that part of that strat is actually called the target acquired strat, where you need to basically snipe the last bubble out of a dive with the spin pound. If you drop an input, if you drop the spin pound, you will fall or bonk. Let's see here. Yeah, very fast setup, very fast spin pound as well. So Stravos making that work, not losing time here.
Yeah, an excellent brutal fight. Just no mistake anywhere, really. Always impressive to see.
Truly making it look easy, even though that's definitely not the case with this boss fight. And I'm actually not completely sure what Stravos' PB is currently, because it is probably possible for him to at least get a 117 if I'm not completely off with my math. At least with his skill on Moon Kingdom, that is probably still a pace for 117.
I think in the pre-interview he mentioned that he had a 118 PB now.
No, I think he did say that he got a 117, but it's
okay.
but I don't know like if it's a high one, low one, or if it's like a 59. Well, let's see how Equan's mech goes. Struggles a little bit here, being stuck on the mech's leg.
The climb is, for a lot of people, the hardest part of this. It's certainly the hardest part for me. It's just the camera is very strange. It kind of auto-adjusts itself, and if it gets out of whack or you mess it up, the top half of the boss will start to rotate and block you and not quite let you to get up the way you want to.
True. As Stravos is done with Bowser's Kingdom here, probably leaving the place at around 112, like 15. So if he would get his like A-game Moon here, he would be on pace for a 117.30, which might be a PB for him. That's definitely a very solid time, probably still puts him in the top 5, if I'm not completely off here.
Yeah. And do you know what the race record for this tournament is so far?
I'm not completely sure. I think it should be 117.05 because that was the time Curbs got here tying world records.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
stab.
it's very stacked. But let's see if Stravos is able to deliver his A game here on the Moon Kingdom. This is one of the kingdoms that, in my opinion, is still the least figured out kingdom, which is mainly because of the actual last sections. Not only the pillar room, but also the escape section. And that's the one thing that's actually big, because usually if you look at stuff, there's like this community sum of best. It's like listing all of the best kingdoms and kingdom times that people have gotten yet. And usually people are at a point where they are like 6 seconds or something off. But then Miles Pro is like an IL runner, and his favorite kingdom is Moon. I talked to him before, and as he said, he just loves the kingdom. Got like a 510 Moon today, and usually people would get like a 520 or like a 519 in runs. Rarely they'd get something less than that. We've seen people get a 516 or 515 before, but a 510 is just pretty ridiculous. Just because, like in Sand, it's obvious that you can't really match these times because there's a lot of stuff going on. But in Moon, it's really just this fight where you can't really lose much time if you play optimally, and then it's just these walking sections at the start and at the end. It's mainly really the pillar room where you can gain or lose time, because even though it doesn't look like it, it's actually massive.
Oh yeah, for sure. The fast pillar alone is like 5 or 6 seconds, and then even then.
And even then, exactly, that's where the optimization really starts from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stravos on pace here to get his 117 and the race win. It is not really much that would be stopping him here from taking this one.
No, I think he could die in Pillar's Room and still have this just by a bit.
Yeah, that would probably make it just a little bit close. It would make it close again, but that's rarely seen. And if he plays it very safe, it's really up to him to throw this one. So I guess all he needs to do is focus and drive this one home. However, he is at 2 HP currently, which obviously doesn't matter because he did that to do the damage boost, and he's going to be refilled. So all he really has to do here is a good escape section. Econ going for side flip moon skip. I think he actually got it.
Very nice, very nice. Stravos
That
actually...
was tight.
Stravos, the second half of this race has been excellent.
Yeah.
Really, they kind of flip-flopped here because Stravos had quite the rough start in Sand, but once they reached Metro, he really turned it on. Whereas the Quan kind of fell off. It went for some really fancy strats that didn't quite pan out and maybe threw him off his game a bit.
Yeah, that is hard for the spectator to actually realize. Oh, Econ once again pretty much the showing off how this race went. Stravos not going for 2D skip was...
He actually accidentally destroyed the block that you used for 2D skip.
Yeah, I had that happen before. But yeah, that's pretty much the story of this race. Econ going for very fancy stuff which catches the spectator's eye, and you would be like, wow, Econ's race is amazing. But he obviously ended up messing up some of these strats, and Stravos has just been playing solid, great gameplay, super fast, and he's easily still on pace for a 117 here, which is a very amazing time.
Looking like a good killer to me.
Yep, definitely very nice shots. Let's see, gets a very quick hit here on this pillar as well. This is very good looking as far as this pillar room goes. Wow, destroys this pillar as well. This is actually an amazing pillar room. This is rarely seen, at least on this level. Shoots these pillars down again and starts to break down the very last block here.
Yeah, looks like he's just going to be a little bit over 117.30 here for his finishing time.
Yep, gets into the last pylon, and it's probably going to be ending this one with a 117.34. Amazing time, and looks like it's actually a PB for him. But Equan still needs to go through the very last escape section here, clobbering down these walls, as he's almost done with his race himself. Just managing to get these final steps in. Hopefully not going for the 2D wall jump again. Actually missing the triple jump.
That can be very scary because that platform starts falling pretty much right after you get that jump off. But it's not something that you really see messed up a whole lot, so it can be strange to have to remember what you have to do to actually back that up. We'll see if he gets 2D skip. Yeah, very nice. And then we're just heading off to the pillars room. Looks like he'll be...
No, we're not heading off to the pillars room yet.
Well, okay.
But this is the Equan special. I knew he was actually going to go for it. That's why I said I hope he doesn't go for 2D wall jump again. But yeah, this strat pretty much doesn't save time. I think I've seen like someone claimed before, I think, or you actually, that it would save like 0.1 or something. But then getting it first try is like almost random because you would need to like mash the jump button while holding left. That's at least the most consistent way I've gotten to get it first try, but it feels random. Equan getting the fast pillar there pretty nicely, it looks like. Pretty clean shots.
Yeah, he should be just under 120 if he finishes out as well as Stravos did.
Yep. Yeah, Stravos amazing. Pillar room definitely, but let's see if Equan can match that. This pillar definitely looks solid as well, though. Maybe not quite on the same level, but surely without big mistakes here. Needs to get one more shot and gets blocked here.
Twice, actually.
But still gets in on that final core block. He's probably about to finish this one. Currently hitting the block for the last time. Capturing the wire. This is looking to be just a very low 120. On our time, I got the 120.02 here. We can get confirmation this real quick though, because we do have both runners joining here. And let me get to Equan first, because he did just exactly finish right now, so he can tell us what time he actually got. Equan GG on finishing here. But yeah, give me your thoughts. What was your final time?
Yeah, the time was right. I'm pretty sure it was 102. The run was interesting. I had a lot of stuff happened, but I did some cool things.
Yeah, I can get that out of the way. I can definitely agree. Definitely showing off some cool things for sure. And as you said, some things happened, like the movement of the moon clip, which was interesting and unfortunate, but surely still showing off crazy stuff. Probably getting that BTT entry for the Cooper free running part on lunch, and finally, let's go. And yeah, surely pretty cool showcase. But yeah, let's run it through real quick. What went well, what didn't go as well?
Yeah, so Metro, definitely one of the parts that didn't go well. The Pauline jump thing is really hard. It's hard to figure out where, if you're at the right distance to talk to Pauline or not when you can't see her because she's behind you. Also, sewer clip wasn't that bad, but I missed the thing, the vault to the trumpeter as well, because I didn't get a good vector. But yeah, so it was Metro, and then Sand was a mess because of the things that happened at the start.
Oh, the dram things,
yeah. And then Snow, obviously, Seaside was alright. And the rest of it was pretty okay, except for like Mech lost me like 25 seconds.
Oh, you fell down at the start too, yeah. But other than that, definitely solid stuff, and definitely some over-the-top stuff as well, like the good old 2D wall jump, but obviously also nice showcase there of the World Peace turnip clip. But yeah, Stravos ending this one with a 117.34. Definitely very insane second phase of the race. I'd even say I'm probably only losing really big amounts of time in Sand because of IP clip. But yeah, it's probably better that for you to run it down again.
Yeah, so my cap kingdom was really good. I was feeling great. I had a mid 220 cap, and I was feeling confident. So confident, in fact, that I went for wall jumpless FMS, new FMS, water FMS, wet FMS, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And you know, I was feeling good. And then I remembered that I'm not used to my new controller yet, and my angles still feel weird. And so my early game was 45 seconds worse than PB
Yeah.
out of sand. And because I had a death in right before Knuckle-Tech.
Knuckle-Tech, yeah.
I failed some bullet bill movement stuff in Night Sand pretty hard as well. And Cascade wasn't too good either.
I think you missed
a
chest
lot of
clip.
weird stuff. Yeah, I missed Chest Clip
Yeah.
and Madam Brood. I missed
Oh,
something
true,
with
like one of
Madam
the
Brood.
phases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then everything after Sand was really good. I golded, so I have 2 splits for Wooded and 2 splits for Luncheon. So I golded both Wooded splits, golded Snow by a lot, and I golded both Luncheon splits. Even though my Luncheon had a big mistake in it in the Potaboo room.
Yeah,
as
you fell
well.
down
I
even
just-
twice.
Yeah, I just gotta get better golds there still. But like my boss fights were good. My clips were okay, and after my early game fails, I just decided I wanted to take it safe and not really try to optimize things too hard or do anything too crazy because I'm still not feeling my new controller quite yet. And that worked out really well for me.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like the right decision.
Yeah, for sure. I was wondering about the seaside as well. I mean, I saw like literally one visible mistake where you were like in the hot springs part, but other than that, it also seemed like very good.
Yeah, I've been practicing, or one of the very first things I learned in World Peace, I grinded Seaside to make sure that I could get that perfectly every time. Because if you miss the boss fight strats or like anything in Seaside, it's pretty devastating to the run. So that's one of the first things I made sure I knew how to do.
Yeah, for sure. It did pay off here in the long run. Getting a mid 117 in this race definitely crazy. And once again, pretty much if you get that same run without the early game flaws, it would have been close to the record already. So
Yeah. This is a
definitely
new
gonna be
PB for
some.
me, so
Okay.
good.
We might actually be able to submit this one. I mean, that's obviously your choice, but yeah, definitely the official best time we did manage to see here, the 117.34. And Stravos is going to be once again going into the next round. Stravos, pretty much, I think, I actually want to go back and see your current record, though, because I'm not sure when you actually got beaten. Did you actually get beaten yet?
With all the GSA stuff, I mean, the 4-way race stuff, I've been beat.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't count though. Like
yeah.
that isn't like in the tournament.
Yeah.
But in a tournament, I
All
think you're
tournament-
actually unbeaten, right?
Yeah, all tournament setting stuff, I've been flawless so far. This one was scary though. Each one had a really good lead on me for a while.
Oh yeah, up until Metro pretty much. And as you said, that's probably where it fell apart just a little bit. But yeah, obviously we still have a lot of other scary runners here coming up in the quarterfinals, and obviously we're on 3 at the start. But yeah, Strauss still unbeaten since the start of the Any Percent tournament. So who can stop this man? We don't know yet. But we will potentially find out in the future, as we obviously will have more races coming up here on Global Speedrun Association and the World Peace Tournament. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow not only our channel, where we will be having lots of racing content, but also follow these runners, follow Stravos, Econ, both still very active, not only World Peace, but especially Any Percent runners. Obviously, Econ just taking second yesterday. So yeah, make sure to follow these runners, make sure to follow Global Speedrun Association, and catch you guys on the next race.